So you're thinking about moving to Dallas, Texas? Well, hold your horses. It's not all unicorns and leprechauns in the great state of Texas. There are some negatives, and especially if you're coming from California, New York, Illinois, Washington State, this is where the majority of the people we're working with right now are coming from. There is a little bit of a culture shock, and we do want you to know of some of the negatives ahead of time. That way you can be well prepared, and we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Dallas, Texas, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Dallas. My name is Levi. You know, the team and I, we get calls and emails every single day from people just like you and you and you and you looking to make their move to Dallas. We absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, just give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even schedule a Zoom call, all in the description below. Happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas. So as we mentioned, we are covering the most negative items about moving to Dallas, Texas, and I'll tell you what, there's some good ones in here. But we are going to start out with the weather. Of course, this is something that we always get questions about, especially people moving from California where the weather is perfect all the time, right? Well, let me tell you something. Whenever it's cold here, it's cold. And whenever it's hot, and there's just no two ways around that. You know, because we are in North Texas, it is a little, it's considered somewhat dry. It's somewhat humid, but somewhat dry, if that makes sense. So whenever it does get below 70, that's why you'll see a lot of Texans busting out the coats and the sweatshirts if it drops below 70, because it is a little bit more dry and there is some humidity. Then it feels a lot colder than it actually is. You know, I've lived all over the country. I was in the military earlier in my 20s and spent some time also with different opportunities around the country, but lived in New York and Chicago, Pittsburgh. Those are different. Of course, we are having a lot of people moving from New York and Chicago as well, but those are different types of cold up there. I mean, if it's in the 30s, it's somewhat bearable, but here below 70, I mean, it's a little chilly, so we can't really handle it that much. And whenever it gets hot, oh, what up? I'm in the middle of filming. Oh, my bad. That's all right. All right, well, come over here anyways. It's probably good. It's good to introduce Travis. By the way, this is Travis. Travis is he heads up all of our real estate, my partner here, and I tell you what, he really is making deals happen left and right. We're getting all of our offers accepted. Thanks a lot to Travis right here. So
hey, I do what I can for y'all. Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for interrupting my.
Hey, man, it's all good. You're a professional.
You want to jump in?
Yeah. You got a mic or something?
Yeah, there's over there on the desk. So you can jump in. So I was just actually talking about the weather here, and actually talking about the hot portion.
Well, it's super nice right now.
Yeah. Well, that is the good side. You know, most of the time the weather is beautiful here. Especially right now when we're in the transition from winter to spring to summer, it's some of the best weather. But July and August, it does get hot. Now we're used to it. We were both born and raised in the Dallas area, and so I actually like it. But some people will find it a little bit of a challenge. But other than that, you just got to get through July and August. What would you say?
It right? Did I get it right?
It's not good. Let me fix you up there.
You see, I can sell some real estate, you know, but I can't ever get my mic to look pretty enough for this guy's taste. But you know, it's all right.
We want to make sure they can hear you.
All right, cool.
Let me step back here. I'm a little bit taller than Travis, so I'm gonna have to step back.
Yeah,
here
precisely.
A little bit. There you go.
He's 6'3".
All right. So what's your take on the weather?
I mean, the weather, it's pretty nice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, I'm born and raised here. You know what I'm saying? So it gets hot. You know, when it gets hot, it gets really, really hot. You know, but when it gets cold, it gets really, really cold as well. But I love the weather here. Like especially like in the springtime, it is really, really, really nice. From like, you know, I would say from about February, even sometimes February, we have some like sunny and 75 days, and then March, April, May, it's super, super nice. June, July, and August, you know, it can get a little bit hot, you know, but hey, that's good. You can get your tan, you can get out, you get the kids out and get to the pool, and then, you know, September, October, November, it's usually pretty nice as well. I mean, I don't mind the hot summer temperatures, but I mean, I think it's just kind of different for everybody depending on where you're from.
Yeah. So next on the list is going to be the bugs. So again, we got a lot of people coming from California where it's the land of perfect weather and no bugs, right? So yeah, there's something, especially if you're going to be coming in the next month, this is something most people have never even heard of, and they're called June bugs.
And they happen in June.
Exactly. And these things, I tell you what, they're funny. They're literally only here in the month of June, but they just fly in straight lines, and they will hit you upside the head. Now,
yeah, they're kind of like flying beetles almost. They're like really small, and it's not like crazy, like disgusting or anything like that. But yeah, they definitely run.
Yeah, they're harmless. They don't bite or anything like that, but they just, you can hear them coming from a mile away too, and they just run into stuff. They run into your windows, your doors. But I tell you what, in the city and the suburbs, mostly in the communities, they do spray, because we're also going to talk about mosquitoes a little bit. They do spray, so they're really kind of more of a problem. I know you grew up kind of in a little bit of the country parts. I grew up in the country where there wasn't spraying going on at that time. They do spray in the cities, so that does eliminate a lot of the mosquitoes and June bugs. But where I grew up, it was like the plague was coming almost sometimes.
No, so seriously though, I mean, like if you're like in the suburbs, yeah, like you're right. I mean, a lot of times like in the main cities, you really don't run into, the mosquitoes or the June bugs that much. But if you live a little bit more out into the country, and a very simple way to get rid of the mosquitoes is just don't have any like stagnant water. Like where I live, I wouldn't say I live right in the city, but I mean, I don't ever have any problems with mosquitoes. But if you're like out in the country, or you're by some like really tall grass, or you have a bunch of standing water around, the mosquitoes, I've heard that the mosquitoes can get kind of bad, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not really ran into that problem too much. Well, but the June bugs are crazy.
Yeah. Also, what we've come to learn is that I'm an A blood type, which I never get bit by mosquitoes, and apparently that's a thing. If you're an O blood type, or possibly maybe they don't bite B, because you're B blood type.
Yeah,
It's funny how I know your blood type, but
that's our relationship right there.
In case of emergency, I do know his blood type, but I'm an A blood type, so they really don't bite me up a lot. But I know people that have O blood types, and they will eat them alive. So just that could depend on it as well. But also, they usually don't come out until right at dusk or dark. So if you're going to be hanging out in the yard, that might be a time to scoot inside.
And there's like some really easy ways to like kind of combat that. Like for one, don't have standing water. And then I get my yard treated every single month. So I just have some professionals come out there and they treat the yard, and I never run into those problems. And then of course you can just put mosquito spray, some bug spray on, and then they have these like really nice like fire candlesticks that you can put in your backyard that kind of deter the mosquitoes away from you as well. So the mosquitoes could be a problem if you let them be a problem, but I mean if you take the proper requirements or whatever, then I mean you're going to probably not have that problem.
Yep. So next on the list is going to be property taxes. This is something that people bring up all the time as well. And by the way, we have a video that is completely dedicated to property taxes, so you'll definitely want to check that out to get a little bit more in depth. But we will say this, yes, property taxes are likely going to be slightly higher from where you're coming from, even though it seems like most people are moving here from these high tax states. Mm-hmm. And you come here and the property taxes are a little bit higher, but that's actually what we break down in one of our videos is, probably by saving the income tax alone, you're going to make out better moving here in the first place. Definitely. But there is something, I recommend this. There is a company called Texas Tax Protest, and no affiliation, no referral or anything that we receive, but I know that I think you pay a flat fee of like $300, and basically it's a law firm, and they'll just dispute your taxes, and they'll get them locked in usually for 3 years. So as soon as you move here, I would hire them, pay that money to get them disputed, because after you move in, based on the sell price of your home, sometimes the appraisal district will keeps an eye on those things. And if you buy a home even just slightly above what it was valued at last year, they'll try to match that. So you can likely get it locked in.
It's a good resource.
And so I would definitely reach out to Texas Tax Protest. I believe that's it. But otherwise, they'll help you lock that in. And then next thing, really, a lot of people complain about this. I don't, which is allergies. And I mean, I've never had allergies, so I don't know. Maybe just being born here, I was accustomed to it. But
yeah, I don't think I mean, like whenever I went to the military and I went away to like where I was stationed at, and then I came back to Texas, I did start kind of having a little bit of allergy problems. But I mean, I really don't have allergies. I mean, but a lot of people do complain. Like my girlfriend Sam, she gets allergies, all the time. So I think it's just really dependent on who you are, maybe the diet and stuff like that as well. well. I don't know. I mean, it's just, she complains about having allergies about twice a year. My mom kind of complains about having allergies, but I haven't really had any, man. I mean, I don't really get sick very often.
I've never had, but the pollen, if you're allergic to pollen, that is something here in the springtime. It is everywhere. If you park outside, there will be a yellow coat on your car. So it is.
Yeah, I just cleaned my truck, and then I went out to CJ's house, which is my brother, right? I went out to his house, and they have pollen out there, and I just cleaned my truck, and I went out there and I stayed for the whole day, and then I come back and there's like this, almost like a really thin yellow lining on like the glasses.
Like powder.
Yeah, it's
just
like
a powder coating of in yellow, and that's the pollen. So it's never bothered me, but some people it does bother. But it is seasonal, so that's going to happen in the springtime, of course. So that might be something. Now, a little remedy for that, so what I've been told is some local honey kind of helps clear that up. And by the way, I'm not a doctor, nor do I claim to be a doctor or a health professional, but I do like more natural-minded things like that.
Are you sure? You're not a doctor, man? You've helped me out quite a bit, and you know my blood type.
I'm a doctor of real estate. But no, local honey has some of the antihistamines and things like that naturally in it. So get some good Texas. Go to the grocery store. There's always going to be some good Texas honey, and just get the raw or unfiltered kind. From what I've been told, I'm not recommending that at all.
Dip it in your coffee, or put it in your coffee, or something. You
definitely want to keep it warm. That's what I've also heard. Not that I'm recommending that again.
We're not doctors.
Yeah. So also another, I don't say it's necessarily a negative, but most people that come from California, New York, again, Chicago, are not used to the fact that utilities are deregulated here. So there is literally 150 different utility companies you could choose from for your electricity. And it does matter because whatever you're going to pay for the kilowatt hour, which it could be like 0.9 cents or 0.11 or 0.14, it does make a difference. And a lot of them offer different things.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, we should put that link. We have a utility concierge where if you are looking to move here, that you can actually click on the link. We'll drop it below in the comment, but you can actually go and have like all of your services set up at the same time in one place, and they actually compare the rate. So if you're concerned with that stuff, but let me give you an example. Like a lot of the newer houses, unless you're moving into like an old house, like in the 80s or 90s, the newer houses, they're all super energy efficient. So like my house is about 3,000 square feet, and my electric bill is like, I don't know, like $80 to $120, and we keep it at around 69 to 70, which would be ice cold for this guy. He likes to keep his at 85 year round, but the electricity bills are relatively low. The gas bills are low, so I mean it's not really a big problem, but there is a lot of options, and that can confuse a lot of people. But if you use that link that will drop down there for you, you can get all of it done in one time.
Yeah, we normally reserve that for our clients whenever when they go under contract. We provide them that link because it allows them to hook up everything, forward their mail, all that great stuff. So it's really convenient when you're moving. So even if you're moving here and you didn't choose us, which was a huge mistake, and you probably had a lot of problems, but it's okay. We forgive you.
We're trying to warn you now, okay? We're the guys you want to use.
Yeah, I tell you what. Quick story. We literally got three families this last week, homes, and it feels so good because they were actually working with other real estate agents that were losing their deals, not communicating well with them, and they were getting very concerned. Two of them were military families relocating here at a specific time, which if you understand the military, once they tell you have to move, you have to move. And one family coming all the way from Japan, and they literally had been working with someone else for a couple of months and getting the complete runaround, losing deals, lost 6 different offers, called us, we got them a house in 3 days?
Yeah, three or 4 days, something like that, yeah.
And that's the only thing we warned them about is we said, look, we work fast. We will find you a deal. Are you ready to make an offer? And they said, absolutely. We have to move in the next 30 days. And so we went to work.
Made it happen.
Yeah, Travis.
And they didn't even have to pay over for the house. Yeah. So, hey, if you want to know our secrets, just reach out. We got good strategies for that too. So, but yeah.
All right, so the next negative of living in Dallas is going to be, it is big. There's no water restrictions. It's not waterlocked or landlocked. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. It just grows out more and more. So that's the thing. You can, it's a challenge, right? Because driving all over the place, people want to check out different neighborhoods. Literally, like the other day, you drove an hour, right, just to get from southeast Dallas to Northeast Dallas because they want.
It's just big. Yeah. I mean, like Levi lives like 18 or 20 miles away from me, but depending on where you're going, running into traffic, it took me, 50 minutes to get here today. I mean, Dallas is a very, very big city, and sometimes if you're driving in traffic hours, like I made the mistake of driving over here in traffic hours, it can take you a little bit of time to navigate your way around. But I really like that, though. You know what I mean? I like how big Dallas is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do around here, of course, but yeah, I mean, and I think we're always making calls, talking to clients, anyways. Audiobooks, it's a great time.
Yeah, it's like some of the only times in my life where I don't have my two kids screaming da 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 da.
It's like the whole time. That's why. All right. So that actually leads into the next one, which is traffic. Yeah. Which I would really say, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think. Look, again, I've lived in Chicago, New York, and I tell you what, traffic is atrocious there in Chicago. Even going in or out, I think traffic here in Dallas is very fluid. So meaning in the morning coming into Dallas, if you're coming from the suburbs, it is going to get backed up. Leaving, going to the suburbs. The opposite way though is pretty clear mostly. But there is some, they're really good on construction. Dallas used to always be under construction constantly. Right now they're kind of working on 35, that 35 and 30 merge, kind of where the Stars and the Mavs play. But that's kind of the next big project. Otherwise, most of the highways here are pretty, they're pretty well done, and they now build highways underneath the highways. I mean, 635 was one of the worst highways, and they built sub-highways under. I mean, it's
really cool.
It's engineering. Cool. I mean, engineers blow my mind.
And the traffic that I actually hit today was with all that new construction that was going through downtown. But he's totally right about that. Like, there's only traffic, like really, really, like right when you get into downtown Dallas or downtown Fort Worth. For the most part, everything else is actually really, really, really clear. So if you're coming into Dallas from the suburbs coming in, you're going to start running into traffic, about 5 miles out. So you're not sitting in traffic for hours and hours unless there's like a really bad wreck. Same thing with Fort Worth as well. And then outside of that, I mean, all the tollways that are around, like Dallas has like, tollways that kind of like wrap around. You can get everywhere in the city. So you can take tollways that are, just like, I mean, they have the ones that go underground. I mean, traffic can be bad, but it's definitely not like LA or Chicago or New York or something like that.
Trust me, in New York, going to Long Island, I went to Philly or Boston. That's what I did love about New York, is being so close, within 2 hours of like Philly, going to Boston, going to New Jersey. You could really hit Connecticut. You could hit all these neighboring states where when you're in Texas, it's like it takes you 8 hours to get out of the state. But,
definitely.
But the thing is coming back, it'd be a Sunday, and I'd take a little weekend trip coming back in on a Sunday, going back to New York, and I'd hit traffic for several hours. I remember one time, I'm not proud to admit it, but I was stuck in traffic so much that an ambulance came and was clearing the way, and I literally got behind the ambulance and I started tailgating the ambulance. That's how frustrated I was.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I've done that a time or two as well. I'm just going to say
it was not one of my best moments, I will say that. So, all right, so here's the next. I don't even know what number we're on right now. But
here's the next one.
This comes up quite a bit. We've had quite a few questions about that, and that's tornadoes. And so tornadoes, it's interesting because we're like right at the tip, right at the end of tornado alley. So this isn't Oklahoma or Kansas where you're seeing
F5,
these
huge,
big
massive
tornadoes coming. But there can be some tornado activity. But I tell you what, I've lived here pretty much. I'm born and raised outside of Dallas. Been in Dallas for the last 20 years, give or take a year or two, detour to some other places, but you've been here the whole time.
Yep, other than 5 years in the military, yeah.
Nobody here is concerned about tornadoes, right?
Not really.
I mean, they just don't happen. I mean, we actually, 2 years ago...
And there's plenty of heads up, too.
Yeah, 2 years ago, they do have sirens, so just keep that in mind. They do have sirens that will sound off. You'll get alerts on your phone, so there is warning. The best thing you can do, and we learned this growing up as kids, is you go to the center of your house, usually a closet, or even getting in the bathtub, put a mattress over you.
Dude, I have a funny story when you're done.
If you want to take it to that extreme, I tell you what, I don't even worry about it, but it's just something that's not really a problem here. But of course, it's nature, so anything can happen at any time. I mean, Come on, California. You know you deal with earthquakes and all kinds of crazy wildfires, all kinds of crazy. You actually, I think, have more problems over there. New York with the nor'easters and the winter storms. I mean, Chicago's just cold. It's freezing cold. I don't see how Chicagoans do that.
Dude, I got to tell this story.
Okay.
We had a client that came in from up north, and they were asking me about tornadoes, and her husband was in the attic, and she's like, baby, is that where we go for tornadoes? I was like, you definitely don't go into the attic for tornadoes, okay? If you want to know where you go for tornadoes, you go to the middle of your house, get into a tub, get your mattress, put your mattress on top of you in case something were to like fall on top of you or something like that. But do not, I repeat, do not go to the attic and hide out if there is a tornado. That's a bad idea.
And there's no basements here.
Nope.
So we find this, a lot of people coming from New York, Chicago, they learn that there's no basements here. That's because Texas is black clay. The soil here is black clay, and it does shift. So that's something I wouldn't be concerned about it if you're buying a home. As far as your if you buy a new construction home, it's going to come with a 10-year foundation warranty. If you buy an existing home, you can get a home warranty with that. But if the home is older than 5 or 10 years, usually 10 years, it's likely going to have settled at that point anyway. So if there's any foundation issues, it's probably been corrected. But really, just a good foundation company too. If you start to see, that's something that we're always looking for when we take clients out. You look at the corners, the archways, things like that. Just look for those cracks. You can also open a door. If you open a door and open it halfway, if it shifts, moves one way or the other, then there could be some foundation issues, something like that. So it's just little things like that you can look for before you put an offer on a home. But otherwise, you're still going to have that done in the inspection period. So it's not something I would really be.
Yeah. So if there was a foundation issue or something like that, and they did find it in the inspection period, you would not be obligated to buy that home, anyways. Unless they fixed it and you're okay with that. But back to really quick on the tornado thing, because we have had that asked a lot. There's just plenty of fair warning, that way ahead of time. There are sirens going off on your phone. They have sirens that are going off outside. They're telling you that this tornado has been potentially spotted in this area, in this county. They are letting you know, as they're tracking it. They're not just popping out of nowhere and hitting you. There's plenty of forewarning. With all the weather stations and the alerts that kind of just pop up on your phone. So, it's not a big deal. I mean, people aren't really concerned with it here, and it's very, very rare that something disastrous happens. I mean,
let's just say this, there hasn't been any deaths in Dallas, right? For the longest time.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any, so.
No.
But again,
it's no, I don't think there really has been, but
that would bring us to the next weather event, which would be hail, because
hell yeah,
All right. Hail does happen. It happens pretty much right around this time too, every spring. But so far here in the Dallas area, it hasn't been damage worthy, I could say, but it could happen. So
it actually, the further you kind of live out from Dallas, the kind of more I think it's a little bit worse out there. But again, I mean, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. If your house gets hit with hail, you have someone come out there and they put a whole new roof on there. You get new windows put in, and you pay your 1% deductible.
Get a new car.
Yeah, you get a new car. Your car's total out. You know what I mean? So it actually can work out in favor for you if you get caught in a hailstorm.
Yeah,
but
just don't stand outside.
Yeah, don't stand outside. Yeah, that would be a bad idea. You get knocked out, and that would be bad.
So all right, so we covered pretty much most of the topics, but I'll say the last two, which we said stick around till the end, because these two will probably surprise you, and that would be, and especially for you New Yorkers, right?
You're not gonna like this, y'all.
No, the friendliness, that southern charm, that southern hospitality. And if you're the person that gets impatient in the grocery line, oh man, I tell you what, people do have conversations in the grocery line. Sometimes they still pay with checks.
People still do that?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh my God, I don't want to shop where you're shopping.
So, but otherwise.
Maybe I'm part New Yorker. Come on, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
I was at the grocery store the other day. Literally, the lady, she goes, I had a couple of items, and she had a cart full, but she goes, you go ahead. I'm going to talk to the cashier for a little bit. So
everyone's here super friendly.
She knew, she has a relationship with the cashier at the grocery store, and she knew she was about to have a full-blown conversation. But she went ahead and let me go ahead of her, right? But otherwise, if that's something, just, I don't know, I guess you could always still wear your mask too.
If you want to, yeah. See, here you at least have the right to choose what you do,
Yeah, by the way, we're moving into June right now, and this question has come up quite a bit as well. Texas released a couple of months ago, released the mask mandate on the state. Also, the governor just actually ordered public institutions, including school districts, that they cannot mandate masks. So pretty much he just said, you can't mandate it. So
you have the right to choose what you want to do here. And the kids, they're not forcing kids to wear masks. They're not forcing kids to get vaccines. They're not forcing people to do anything. So it really is a great state. Unless you like being told what to do and mandating what you're doing in your life. I mean, then you want to stay away from Texas. But if you want freedoms and you want the right to choose what you do with your body and with your family, this is definitely one of those places. Because I have 2 little girls. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and the thought of them having to be forced to wear masks kind of just makes me super, super nervous. I know they can't breathe with them on and all this other stuff, but yeah, everyone here is very, very, very friendly. I rarely run into people who are just rude for no reason. People are waving. If you're living out in the country and stuff, kids are playing in the street together. Families are out like in their driveways drinking beer and like just hanging out and having a good time. So it is a very, very friendly city all the way around for the most part.
Nobody's really worried about it. But that brings us up to the last negative of moving to Dallas, and I say this one for the last because it's my biggest deal. This is my biggest complaint, is actually not any of that other stuff, but the fact that it's just flat here.
I like it.
Well, I tell you what, I think Dallas, if you like architecture in the buildings, I think Dallas has one of the most beautiful skylines as far as a city, especially because I'm kind of on the east side of Dallas. Driving to the airport for that 6 a.m. flight or something, when you're driving in the morning across Dallas, the sunrise hits all the buildings. It's just beautiful because there's a lot of glass buildings downtown. But otherwise, I love when I'm in, I love being in Seattle, Colorado, California, Florida, driving along the ocean, seeing mountains off in the distance. That to me, that is very grounding. It's very peaceful. But here, it's just buildings.
You can literally go into a building in Dallas that's like 20 floors or 30 floors up and see Fort Worth. It's that flat. Like you can literally go and see AT&T Stadium that's in Arlington. I mean, you can see these big monumental places that are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area just in Dallas. You can see all these other places from cities that are 15, 20 miles away. Like it is a very, very flat place. Great architecture, lots of cool buildings, lots of fun stuff to do, but it is very flat. I do miss the mountains, man. I love the mountains.
But I tell you what, if you don't like driving around on hills, which I've known people from Seattle or even whenever I lived in Pittsburgh, like Pittsburgh has some hills that are like this, where I'm running up the streets and everyone would park on those. So if you don't like driving or parking on hills, which some people don't, then hey,
you won't have that problem.
You never have to worry about your car rolling away because it'll just stay put. You put it in neutral and it'll just stay in one spot. So. But that pretty much wraps up this video on really what we consider the biggest downsides to moving to Dallas. But just like any place else that you're going to be, there's always going to be some negatives. However, if you look at the good side or the positives, there's something that balances it out. Or if you're think about it, it's really not that bad after all.
That's
and again, I wouldn't be concerned about the weather. If it was a big concern, I wouldn't live here.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So, and he wouldn't, he wouldn't have his family here. Travis is kind of in central Dallas, Fort Worth, in the suburbs a little bit. I'm closer to downtown, but we're still, there's been no issues either way. But again, just some of those things, just something to keep in mind. We want you to know kind of ahead of time so you can be prepared, but nothing that's unmanageable.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, I hope you found some value in this video. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, be sure to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom. We'd love to meet you in person, on the Zoom and get to know you a little bit better. Overall, we'd be happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas. So with that, well, we hope to see you around town.
We'll see you on the next one.